There are ways to make dua that guarantees a response. Do you know it? Number one is the wording, how you word your needs and wants to Allah, the Lord of the seven heavens and the earth and what is between them. And what better way is there to do that than to use the same wordings the Prophet ﷺ, the best of mankind, used. And that is why we find Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. He came and saw his son making dua, saying, "Oh Allah, give me paradise, its blessings, its beauties, its stairs, such and such and such." He was mentioning a long list. And then he said, "And oh Allah, save me from hell, its chains, its pits." And he was mentioning a number of things. His father heard him and said, "Well, what a beautiful dua you are making. But there's a better way to do it, a comprehensive way to do it." I heard the Prophet ﷺ said, "Allahumma inni as'aluka min al-khayri kullihi ma 'alimtu minhu wa ma lam a'lam, a'udhu bika min al-sharri kullihi ma 'alimtu minhu wa ma lam a'lam." Oh Allah, I seek you from all goodness, the one I know and the one I don't even know. And I seek refuge from all evil, the one I know and the one I don't know. So this is a recommended dua the Prophet taught that is quite comprehensive in its meaning and whatever it is you want to include in that dua. So wordings matter, and the one you go for wordings is the Prophet ﷺ. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't use your own wordings. You can use your own wordings. In fact, it's a form of worship and ubudiyah, to have a very strong link with Allah, that you ask him even for the littlest things. Urwa ibn Zubayr said, "I used to ask Allah even for the salt in my house. وَلَوْ مِلْحٍ فِي بَيْتِي." When he runs out of salt in his house, he raises his hand and say, "Oh Allah, give me the means to get salt in my house." So the dua, because it's ibadah, dua is worship, it buttresses and reinforces a strong relationship with Allah. So that's one, wording. Number two, having a firm belief that Allah is going to answer your dua. That strong yaqeen that this dua I'm forwarding to Allah is an affair that's quite small, that he can solve it in a matter of seconds, because his affair is when he wants something to happen, he say be, he says be, and it is. He created everything we see in 7 days. He makes rain fall year in and year out, gives provision to every creature, even in the sea, the one you see and you don't see. The Prophet said, "Ud'u Allah wa antum muqinuna bil ijaba." If you want to ask Allah for anything, then do it with strong yaqeen, strong resolve that he's going to answer your dua. Don't do it having doubt that maybe it's going to happen, maybe it's too big for Allah to answer, maybe this is not the right time. Allah is not a human being. His mercy and ability is limitless. He even gets angry if you don't ask him. So that is why the Prophet mentioned, "Ud'ullah," ask Allah, having strong, firm belief that he's going to answer. And Allah does not answer a dua of someone who is headless. You are making the dua and your mind is on other things. 3 is doing the dua the Prophet gave recommendation for, and using and calling Allah's beautiful name. That is why when the Prophet had a man making a dua, he said, "This dua is guaranteed to be answered." And the dua goes as follows: "Allahumma inni as'aluka bi anni ashhadu annaka anta Allah, la ilaha illa ant, ahadus samad alladhi lam yalid wa lam yulad." The Prophet, on hearing this dua, he said, "Ask Allah by Allah's greatest names, that if you ask him with it, he's going to answer." Number 4 is sending salawat to the Prophet, making salat to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet had a man making dua, and the Prophet said, "This man is too eager." He made the dua, but he didn't send blessings upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He used to say, "Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad," to the end, or any variation of this salat. So coupling your dua with that is one of the things that guarantees your dua is going to be answered. Because look at it like this: you are making dua to Allah, and then you are sending blessings to the best of mankind, the one Allah loves most in his creation. So that should secure a guaranteed dua for you. Number 5 is there's no harm in asking for someone to make dua for you, someone you feel is righteous. Just as the companions did with Al-Abbas, the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ. They went to him and said he should pray to Allah for rain. Number 6 is selected times and places. There are certain times and places that if you ask Allah for anything, you will get it. Times like while traveling, or when in the state of prostration, or after the call of prayer, or when breaking the fast, or Laylatul Qadr, the night of Laylatul Qadr. And lastly, and most important, is ask Allah alone. Do not put any intermediary between your dua and Allah, because that becomes shirk. Why? Because dua itself is worship. So if you pray to Allah through someone, you have associated partner with him. And second most important is, when asking for anything from Allah, don't ask for worldly things alone. Because only foolish people ask for worldly things, just worldly things. Your lifespan is not more than 60 or 70 years, and then you are dead. Then what? You're going to spend another 1,000 or million years in the grave before the end of time. So don't just ask for worldly things. There's no harm in asking for worldly things, but don't just ask for them. World is fleeting. Combine the two, and that is why Allah faults those who only ask for the world. There are people who say, oh, Allah, give me from this in the world, give me XYZ, worldly things, but he doesn't ask anything about the akhirah, whether having iman, whether dying upon Islam, having Islamic knowledge that he will worship Allah with, having his deed accepted, a cleanse of his heart and his soul, the opportunity to see the Prophet ﷺ, even in his dream before he meets him on the day of judgment, things like this. And then there are people who say, oh Allah, give us goodness in this world, goodness in the hereafter, and we seek refuge from the punishment of hell. So with these 6 or 7 things, once you have them combined, you make dua, Allah accept it. That is why the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah is shy that his servant would raise his hands up, which is another element to dua, raising your hands up. Raise his hands up, and then he will not answer his dua. But there's one last addendum to this. Allah answering your dua falls under 3 things, as we know in another hadith. If you make dua, Allah can answer that dua instantly, or He can save that dua for you and convert it into a currency that is more important than that, a currency that you see on the day of judgment. A man will see that currency, hips and hips of that currency, the dua he made, and he will ask Allah, he will ask, what is that? And it will be said to him, it's the dua you've made that wasn't answered. And he will wish that every dua he made in this dunya shouldn't have been answered, so that he will have more hips and hips of that currency that will help him on the day of judgment. So that's number 2. And lastly is, you can make a dua, and based on that dua, Allah might see that him answering it won't be in your favor. It might even make you lose something important, like your iman, because obviously there's nothing as important as your iman, dying upon Islam and living upon Islam. So he won't answer that dua for you, but instead he's going to push away a calamity he has written for you that would happen to you because of that dua. So these are the steps that if you follow, Allah would accept your dua. May Allah accept all our dua. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.